Chicago. So I reported on this a while ago, and I told y'all that Chicago, Brandon Johnson had been proposing the same thing that they're doing over in California as far as basically a wealth tax. Additional monies from people that have a certain net worth and that sell certain properties to be taxed on you so that you can continue to contribute your money into social services. And then they're going to frame it like they're using the money over to give it to the homeless or something like that, right? Well, the voters decided that that's not what they wanted to do. And then Brandon Johnson responded as a result of it. So make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get to this. It's called Bring Chicago Home. That was the name of it.
Well, Election Day is over in Illinois, but at this hour, ballots are still being counted. With 98% of the vote tallied in the city, it looks like voters have rejected the Bring Chicago Home referendum.
WGN political reporter Tamon Bradley live at City Hall tonight, where Mayor Brandon Johnson and his progressive allies are reacting. Tamon.
Micah and Ray, when he ran for Chicago mayor, he took up Bring Chicago Home, promising he'd get it passed. Tonight, it appears he's failed. Tonight, Bring Chicago Home headed for defeat. Thousands of mail-in ballots must still be counted, but so far voters appear to have rejected the measure. For Mayor Johnson, it's a spectacular loss, the first test of his tax the wealthy to invest in people agenda. But the mayor says he's not deterred.
There are 68,000 people who are unhoused. There's not a fight that we have not taken on that we won't have the ability to win.
I'm perfecting my Mayor Johnson impression, but we'll continue.
So guess what? Buckle up.
The referendum would raise the transfer tax on properties sold above $1 million while lowering the tax on sales less than $1 million. The money raised would be used to combat homelessness. The Chicago Teachers Union, United Working Families, and other progressive groups that have had success in recent elections could not overcome a $2 million campaign against Bring Chicago Home waged by realtors, building owners, and managers. With turnout in Chicago on track to be the lowest in 80 years, the mayor hints he might try again in a future election.
Let's first say that. Let's first say this, okay? Chicago, shout out to you of making sure that y'all had the lowest voter turnout rate in 80 years. The lowest voter turnout rate in Chicago in 80 years. Let me look at this voter turnout rate. 1.5 million registered voters in Chicago. The lowest voter turnout rate in 80 years. Wow. Wow. Ages 17 through 24 amounted to 3% of the total votes total. 65 through 74 age group showed up in the greatest numbers, only casting 70,000 ballots. Let me give a round of applause to Chicago. Wow. Wow. Yo, the biggest issues that's meaningful to y'all decide that y'all don't even want to show up, and then y'all let everybody else determine what's going to happen to you. Shout out to Chicago. Y'all are something else. I love you guys.
Now we're going to keep organizing. Look, you all know who I am, right?
While Johnson remains upbeat, longtime advocates say it's time to regroup.
But we've got to take a long, hard look at exactly what happened, develop an analysis, and figure out where to move forward from here.
What may have happened, some city leaders say, is the ballot question failed to provide specifics about the spending plan.
I think people right now, when we're in the moment of crisis and there's so many challenges, and this isn't just city, but all government, they want to get a better sense of confidence in the decision making. And I think in order to do that, we got to provide more of the details, more of the plan, kind of show your work.
Let me see what Mayor Johnson had to say about this. He had a whole press conference about this.
Good afternoon. I asked her live to
Parent, they rode deep. Commissioner of the Chicago Department of Transportation Department. And last but not least, Jose Torrado. Peace and commitment, and assurance to all of them. So please just indulge me. Also today, City Council, we honored and celebrated Women's History Month, a month where we recognize the contributions. Also want to take this moment especially to recognize all of the women labor business council, our true love, compassion, and
Let me ask you what I hope is a quick question before I get to my question. Have you gotten a readout from the FOP hearing today?
I have not.
All right, thank you. Lots of time. A year ago, it looked like your coalition was unstoppable based on your way. Let down or reset, whether in substance or...
Well, all the results, I really love the commentating, by the way. So first of all the results are, the votes have not been counted. So that has not been declared just
Well, it's been declared as of now, but this is his conference of what he was saying.
yet. You know, look, there are 68,000 people who are unhoused. That's the focus. 1 in 4 black children will experience homelessness in the city of Chicago throughout their education career. That's the primary focus here. That's the issue that we have to solve. And, you know, no one said it was going to be easy, you know, but the fact of the matter is in this moment that you have, you know, very low turnout. It's incumbent upon all of us to make sure that we are engaging the people of Chicago in a way that maximizes the fullness of democracy. You know, so you know the $250 million that I've dedicated to the unhoused, a brand new chief homelessness officer. The last I checked, though, that the people of Chicago are still very much committed to addressing and solving this issue. So, very much committed. The fight still goes on.
Chief homeless officer. Chicago, did you know that y'all had a chief homeless officer? How much does a chief homeless officer make? Yo, what up? I'm on a live stream.
Oh, hey, I just got on break.
No worries. Hey, do y'all still call Rod Lil Rod?
I've always called him Rod, but everybody else still calls him Lil Rod, yeah.
So he still responds to Lil Rod?
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Nothing, I was just wondering.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right.
Bye. Let's continue, y'all. Did y'all know that y'all had a chief homeless officer? You know what usually happens when you start to levy these taxes against the people? What usually happens is the money starts to go to administrative purposes. So it goes to buildings, it goes to healthcare, it goes to new positions that they created. It goes to all of this. The budget don't actually go towards helping people or solving for the problem. It all goes into a pot that then never gets reduced. So you never get lower taxes. You continue to go to get the taxes, and nothing ever changes. People are still homeless. How do you solve for homelessness? Somebody give me the insight. How do you solve for homelessness? It's $150,000 for the chief homeless officer? The chief homeless officer makes $150,000? Seriously? Tell me y'all lying. Tell me y'all lying. Y'all got to be lying. There's no way that you're going to sit here and tell me that the chief homelessness officer makes $150,000. I'm looking it up right now. Let me play this.
Given how integral Bring Chicago Home has been to your mayoral agenda, should the referendum's outcome, whatever it is, also be a referendum on your administration and the progressive movement taking charge?
All right, so we have abolished sub-minimum wage. We are the largest space right now where paid time off is available to so many people. Treatment, not trauma. Opening up mental health clinics. Again, $250 million into the unhoused. $100 million in violence prevention. making sure that we actually have an fully elected representative school board. The progressive agenda is not dedicated to one issue. This is the unique thing about running an entire city of Chicago. You get to address everything. And we're doing that. We're doing that. We're still strong.
And to follow up on that, if it loses, what's next? Will you go to Springfield? Will you try again in November?
We're going to keep organizing. No, we're going to keep organizing. Look, you all know who I am, right? We're going to keep organizing. Again, the results are not in, but I can tell you this, though, where this issue is, where the greatest impact of those who are experiencing being unhoused, there are a lot more yeses there. A lot more yeses. So, we have to continue to organize to make sure that.
If anybody wants to apply for the chief homelessness officer position, here are the details. All right, I'm gonna break it up for you. Salary of the position is $150,000 a year, and interested well, we don't care about that. So I guess they already got one because you had to submit it by October 25th. So apparently they already got a chief homelessness officer. Here's the qualifications: at least 10 years minimum years related work experience or equivalent combination of education and experience which exhibits the ability to perform satisfactorily in the position required. What related work? Working with homeless people? I don't. Experience coordinating multiple governmental agencies in the development, planning, and implementation of strategy, policy solutions, and programs aimed at addressing racial and social inequalities. Let me say that again. Experience coordinating multiple governmental agencies in the development, planning, and implementation strategy, policy solutions, and programs aimed at addressing racial and social inequalities. So we got us a diversity, equity, and inclusion position here, guys. Demonstrated leadership and results in achieving a public policy objective requiring policy development and operational activation across multiple actors. C student, I don't really know what that means. Bachelor's degree from an accredited four-year college or university, master's degree preferred. Knowledge and skills and abilities. Ideal candidates will possess the following: ability to understand, interpret, and utilize data and research on homelessness. Okay. Expertise within housing and homelessness ecosystem, including knowledge of key partners, funding streams, and primary drivers of homelessness. So you got to understand why people become homeless in the first place. Demonstrated leadership and experience in at least one intersectional issue area such as housing, finance, immigration. Immigration. Legal services, civil rights protections, children and youth services, healthcare, workforce development, gender-based violence, justice reform, or economic empowerment, history of effective cross-sector coalition, and consensus building across diverse stakeholders, including service providers, advocates, and funders. Lived experiences of homelessness. What? Okay, let me let me read that again. Lived experiences of homelessness, housing instability, and/or issues at the intersection of homelessness are deeply valued. So basically, you had to be homeless before. Okay.
We're bringing our neighbors along who may not be as impacted by this issue. But, to be the mayor of the city of Chicago, where I once upon a time took an arrest at the very elevators that now are held for me. This is the greatest city in the world. There's not a fight that
Cap.
we have not taken on that we won't have the ability to win. And that's the important thing here. And the progressive agenda, again, from dealing with mental health, dealing with education, dealing with workers, that progressive agenda is expansive, as it should be. 40 plus years, decades of disinvestment. And I'm grateful that we have a lot of people who are committed to seeing the transformation that propelled me into office.
Afternoon, Mayor. Yesterday's election, there were 3 ballot referendums, the 13th, 23rd, and 36th ward, where voters overwhelmingly voted to call on the city to reopen additional police districts in response to lagging response times. Is that something that you are open to, adding additional police districts, especially in the 12th and 8th district that have seen really expansive police districts and had trouble getting people to 911 calls promptly?
Well, there's been a lot of cuts over the course of decades in this city, as you know, from closing of schools, public housing, mental health clinics. You know, our approach to public safety is holistic. And so, you know, my deputy mayor for community safety is here. Our approach is comprehensive. And policing is just one tool in the toolbox to address public safety in this city.
Translation: no, we're not going to reopen any of these precincts, and no, you're not going to get more police officers. Listen, when you hear somebody throw this word salad at you, and I'm gonna break it down for you again, because I want you to understand things from a C student's perspective. When they say that our approach to something is comprehensive, it means that no, we're not going to do it. That's number one. The second thing that it means is they're going to throw a bunch of money at a bunch of other stuff that's not relevant to keeping you safe. When they say comprehensive, our approach to things are comprehensive, and you know, there's no one way to solve for public safety, and we have to gather around. We have to make sure that people get to church. We have to make sure that we hold people accountable, because there's been so much disinvestment in the community, and we don't think that everything deserves a police officer when somebody calls. Sometimes we can go over and we can make sure that we send them a therapist, or maybe it's the fact that they're unhoused that they decide to make sure that they get these large gatherings, you know. And so, you know, the egregious disinvestment from the community, there's not one way to solve for it. There's just not. Okay? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to come together, and we're going to have to pray. Okay? We're going to have to pray. All right? And this holistic approach is everybody has to put their hands in the pot. And we need to tax the rich and give it to the poor, and make sure that we're not labeling people the wrong way. What that will then in turn do is give them a greater sense of security. We need to get their bellies fed. And when we get those bellies fed, they will be less likely to commit crime. It's not about police officers being present. It's more about making sure that Chicagoans understand that this is the greatest city on earth. I mean, I come from a place where I used to hold the doors open for people, and now those same doors are being held open for me. And so you can't tell me that you can't pull up your bootstraps and ensure that every child has warm food in their belly and a hot cot to and a hot cot to sleep on, because there is no plan how to saw coming together and comprehensively solving for crime. Never mind the 911 response time.
So, you know, I'm willing to sit down with individuals in those particular precincts and to have further conversations about what it means to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago.
What does that mean? Did y'all hear the question? I want y'all to hear the question again, all right? Listen, these guys are the master of deflection. Did you hear the question, and did you hear the answer? He asked them, hey, listen, are you guys going to get more police officers out there and open up this precinct or whatever? And he said, no, there's a comprehensive approach, and I'm willing to sit down and have more conversations, though. Listen to what he said.
Comprehensive,
into districts
that propelled me into
ballot referendums, the 13th, 23rd, and 36th ward, where voters overwhelmingly voted to call on the city to reopen additional police districts in response.
They're calling on the city to open up additional police districts. They don't have good response times. Crime is out of control. We need more police officers. Is that something that you're going to do? Are you going to open up more police districts, especially for the most impoverished and the most poverty-stricken and the most crime-ridden areas? Is that what you're going to do, sir?
To lagging response times. Is that something that you are open to, adding additional police districts, especially in the 12th and 8th district that have seen really expansive police districts and had trouble getting people to 911 calls promptly?
Well, there's been a lot of cuts over the course of decades in this city, as you know, from closing of schools, public housing, mental health clinics. Our approach to public safety is holistic. And so, my deputy mayor for community safety is here. Our approach is comprehensive. And policing is just one tool in the toolbox to address public safety in this city. So, I'm willing to sit down with individuals in those particular precincts and to have further conversations about what it means to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago.
What? Man, listen, bro. I don't like politicians speak. That do you know? So the question is no when you want to talk about relationship building. Is that what it is? Is that what you just basically? So the answer is no. Got it.
Hi, Mayor. Last week, the Chicago Sun-Times reported on multiple archdiocese properties that supposedly they were offering up for free, but they did not hear back from your office. Can you tell me, is the city considering those over the properties that the city's renting for, in some cases, over market rate?
Well, first of all, it's inaccurate. So there have been a number of archdiocese buildings that have not been suitable for this mission. I can tell you that. And we're working with the archdiocese to bring one online. There's a whole lot that goes into opening up a shelter, and I can tell you I've become an expert at it. We were opening up shelters once a week when I was first sworn in. So I'm grateful that we have a partnership with the archdiocese, but it's not just as simple as here's a building, take it. There's work that has to be done to build it out to make it suitable for shelter. So it's not entirely accurate of how it's being portrayed. That essentially there are a lot of people who have offered up buildings, right? But it doesn't mean they were suitable for this mission.
So
and they weren't necessarily even offered up entirely for free. In fact, part of the agreement initially was it was not offered up as free. There were later conversations that there would be some flexibility with the first 6 months, but not, in perpetuity. So we are still working with the archdiocese, and I'm grateful for the leadership of Cardinal Supich, who has been a part of these conversations as well.
So I can confirm you're considering one, but no more.
Right now, there is one that is close to being put online. There are considerations for lots of buildings, but again, the building has to be suitable to be able to meet the needs of this mission.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good afternoon.
I want to talk a little bit about the settlements that were approved today by the City Council. $45 million for an unauthorized police chase, $5 million on top of the $55 million that's already spent on the Guevara case. What does this say about the police department and what work still needs to be done when it comes to the constitutional policing that you've been trying to address?
Well, one of the things that Superintendent Stelling and I speak about regularly is the type of training that we have to make available for officers who are coming into the force. And I'm grateful that there are scores and scores of officers who have gone through this training, many of whom have been trained by Superintendent Snelling, and we're seeing better practices. Still a lot of work to be done, no doubt about that. It also speaks to just the decades of negligence. Some of these things, as you know, predate my existence, right? They go back to a time before I was even born.
Why does he continue to try to scapegoat the conversation by always blaming it on previous administrations, times before him, all of that? Listen, man, just answer the question. That's all we want to do is get to the answer of the question. Every single answer that he gives literally takes like 3-4 minutes.
So there's a lot of time that has elapsed over the course of decades now where this has become an erosion. And working with our new superintendent, who I have confidence in, to not only provide training for our officers to ensure that constitutional policing is the prevailing form of governance, but also making sure that we are responding to emergencies in a holistic way. There are certain instances where law enforcement is showing up and it's not a law enforcement response. That's why I'm committed to growing our treatment, not trauma, operation and working with advocates so that we can have mental health providers that are showing up to scenes where mental health professionals are a better response to the crisis.
Can y'all imagine? Just roll with me here for a second, guys. Can you imagine you call 911? You're looking for the police. Hey, man, I need you to come out here. They assess your situation based off of what you tell them, and they say, listen, you my friend, you don't even need the police. You know what you need? A mental health professional. You need a therapist. You need a psychologist. You need somebody, some lady that can come over there and better assess and break down for you guys how you guys can solve for the issues that you need. So listen, we're going to send a czar over there, and we're going to solve for your issues. They're on their way. No ambulance, no police officer. Listen, you guys need to learn how to come together and hold each other in love. Oh, SS-29. I know about it. They tried that in New York. They abandoned that fast. Oh my God. This is so silly. Shout out to Chicago. For everybody that's still in Chicago, God bless you. I love you guys. You guys are really, really fighting a good fight over there.